Minecraft has over 20 different structures spread across the world, and almost all of them hide chests with loot inside. But which one actually gives you the best loot and the rarest items? Well, I spent over 100 hours exploring every single structure, looting all of their chests, and now I'm ranking them from worst to best, with the most insane loot waiting near the end of the video, so stick around to see which structure takes the top spot. So first of all, we have the village, the regular Minecraft village, with simple, small houses. Now, the main thing you would want to loot here is the blacksmith shop, because here you can find some good armor, weapons, and all the Minecraft resources that you need at the very beginning of the Minecraft world, and even diamonds. However, by far, not every village is gonna have a blacksmith. There are villages with just as little as 3 houses, with the smallest amount of villagers inside them. However, from what I have seen, the villages in the forest biome seem to have a lot more houses and more villagers inside them on average than the ones in the desert or in the savannah. Because in the savannah, it is really rare to find any good loot, and probably the only source of iron would be the poor iron golem. The village is also good, not only because of the armor and weapons you can find inside it, but because of the librarians that live here, which is of course the safest way to get the mending book in Minecraft. The regular houses also have chests inside them where you can find emeralds and a lot of food, but from what I have seen, the taiga and the snowy village seem to have a lot more food inside the chests, which is obviously because of the cold weather outside. So the village is a very important structure because you can get cheap mending books from librarians, but only if you are lucky, which is why the village structure goes to the mid category. But a better overworld structure would be the desert temple, which is by far better when it comes to its loot, because you get 4 chests full of some actually rare items, such as enchanted books, golden apples, god apples, diamonds, armor trims, and of course, more important loot that you need quite badly in the beginning. You can also get 9 dynamite blocks from each desert temple, which can then easily be used as a way of searching for netherite. If you know, you know. Overall, the desert temple is a really great way to get loot in the beginning because it has some really useful items like the dynamite, and it's pretty easy to find. It spawns in each desert, and usually, not just once actually, take a look at this. 4 desert temples spawned in one desert in like a 400 block radius, which is insane, and this has got me a ton of resources. But just because there are far better structures later on the list, which we will get to in a short period, the desert temple again goes into the mid category. And the next structure we have is the ruined portal. This always has a chest attached to it, so you are never gonna be left without any loot when finding a ruined portal. These structures spawn literally everywhere, underwater, in the nether, on mountains, you name it. And if you are lucky enough, you can build a working portal just from the obsidian left and the one in the chest, because there is almost always obsidian inside a chest. Speaking of other items you can find in the chest, there are not many. The maximum you can find here is some golden weapons with golden armor. However, finding this structure in the very beginning of survival can be super useful, because you can just go to the nether without going into caves and searching for obsidian there. And also, because it spawns in the nether quite often, you can go back to the overworld if you got stuck, for example. So, the structure itself is very useful, but since this video is all about the best loot inside chests, and you are not gonna find even any iron things there, and the only stuff you are gonna find is the gold armor and weapons, which will break after a few minutes anyway, the ruined portal ends up in the bad category. And since we have already touched the topic of the nether, next we will have the Nether Fortress and the Bastion, which only spawn in the nether. First of all, the Nether Fortress, and this structure is essential for completing Minecraft, because if you don't find it, you are never gonna create the end eyes used for the end portal. This alone makes it essential for every Minecraft player. Regarding the loot that spawns inside chests, it's actually pretty common to find diamonds, iron, and iron armor, as well as weapons. But from my experience, it's really easy to get killed inside the fortress, plus the chests spawn really rarely, and you can be risking your life only for a few chests. So, you need the fortress only for the blaze rods, and once you have enough of these, I guarantee you won't be coming back here. When it comes to chest loot and what spawns inside them, the fortress goes into the bad category because it's really easy to get killed here. And next is treasure chests. And this is actually the first structure that deserves being in the good category. The reason for this is because these are extremely easy to find. Of course, you can use treasure maps to locate these, but I recommend just using the seed map, which basically shows all generated structures in your seed. As you can see, there are really a lot of them. In terms of loot that spawns inside them, it's actually better than in the fortress chests. But here you don't have to risk your life at all because most of the time, chests are like 4 blocks deep. The loot you can find here is, first of all, a lot of diamonds, a lot of iron, as well as gold. TNT also spawns here, which again can be used for netherite search. You can easily find like 15 diamonds in half an hour with the seed map, which is just so good because you don't have to go into any caves and mine them there, risking your life. So it's really good for first time loot, but definitely don't expect to find crazier items. Because it's really easy to find these chests and you don't risk anything, they are super helpful in the beginning and go into the good category. Now the next thing we have on the list is the Nether Bastion, and this one is really good when it comes to loot inside chests. The reason for that is because it has a lot of netherite that can be found, plus it's the only source of the smithing templates that you must have if you want to upgrade your diamond items to netherite ones. On top of that, it has a lot of chests where you can find all kinds of golden items, iron items, and even diamond ones, so the loot you can find here is by far the best from what we have already seen in the video, and you can even find a full netherite ingot, which is just insane. There are also bastions with treasure rooms, which have by far the best loot you can probably ever find inside a structure. Diamond armor, diamond weapons, lots of iron, and of course a lot of gold, which you can then use to trade with piglins, giving you even more loot. So overall, the Bastion is quite a hard structure, but the loot you get here is just priceless, so it easily goes into the best category. And the next structure we have is the Jungle Temple, and this one is definitely more rare to find. As I'm on my way to the closest one, look, what appeared is this. Some skyblock type stuff or what? How did this even spawn in the first place? Anyway, let's fly to the jungle forest to find some temples. I actually got quite lucky because the game spawned not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 of these and about 300 blocks between each, so it was quite easy to get the best possible loot from these 4. In case you didn't know, each jungle temple has 2 different chests. One is hidden behind this wall, and the second is obviously at the end of this room. When it comes to items you can find inside these 2 chests, a couple of diamonds is probably the best thing you can find here, as well as a lot of gold and iron. You can also find the smithing template, and this one spawns almost always, with usually at least 2 of them. So the Jungle Temple is again only good in the beginning, but even then it's pretty hard to find one since these only spawn in jungles. You might actually be better choosing the method with treasure chests, as these are much easier to find and you are not gonna get shot. So the Jungle Temple goes into the mid category. And the next thing we have is the Villager Outpost. And this goes straight into the bad category because there is literally nothing cool you can find here. Some XP bottles and iron are the max items we are talking about, aside from horns, which are useless anyway. The only reason you would want to go here is for the ominous bottle, which you will need inside a trial chamber to trigger a more advanced mob wave that will get you better items. But aside from that, the Villager Outpost is pretty useless, and you are not going to find any cool items, so I don't recommend it for regular looting, which is why it goes into the bad category. The next structure on the list is the Ocean Temple, which again just doesn't have anything to offer to most players. It's quite hard to loot because of the Guardians, and maybe only worth it if you really need gold, since you get 8 full blocks of gold from looting it. When you kill the Elder Guardians, you also get the sponge and another armor trim, but I don't know who really needs that anyway. So this doesn't have anything to offer a regular player, which is why it again goes into the bad category. And since we are already in the water theme, next we have all kinds of shipwrecks and similar structures. Inside the ships, you will usually find 2 chests, and if you are lucky, they can contain diamonds, emeralds, enchanted books, and even iron armor. And of course, the treasure map. But this is pretty useless because we all know a better way of finding these with a seed map. I actually searched my seed for shipwrecks and found a lot of them, and while flying to one, I had trouble finding it, until I looked up and was quite surprised. I hadn't seen anything like this before, a flying Leviathan ship or something, but Anyway, let's loot it. And it had some decent loot, actually, including 2 coastal armor trims that I was looking for. Shipwrecks are extremely easy to find. You just need to swim in the ocean on a boat or use a Elytra. Just like me, I'm going to put shipwrecks in the mid category because the maximum you can find here is just a few diamonds. Let's move on to the next structure. Next, we have the witch hut, which is just the worst thing you can find because it doesn't have a single chest. The only useful things here are her crafting table and maybe her cat if you even want it. So let's not waste any more time and go straight to the next one. So the next 3 structures are going to be underground, and the first one is the Mineshaft. The kind of loot you can find here varies, but on average, the chests contain up to 4 diamonds, lots of iron, gold, coal, and of course, rails. Mineshafts are extremely easy to find because most of them spawn under oceans and not too deep underground. So if you're just mining somewhere near an ocean, head in its direction, you might just stumble upon a mineshaft, which will get you even more loot. Inside the chests, you can also find a golden apple. Overall, I think mineshafts are pretty easy to loot because they're well lit with many torches, so you're not going to encounter like 10 zombies in one room. Still, you need to watch out for spider spawners. Another reason I really like mineshafts is that it's super easy to find all kinds of ores. Just by exploring the structure, you'll find diamonds just sitting there waiting for you to collect them. Because of the loot you can find and how common and easy they are to loot, I'm putting the mineshaft in the mid category. Remember, mid category doesn't mean bad, it just means there are structures with better loot further down the list. Next, underground structure is the trial chamber. Trial chambers can be extremely dangerous if you're just starting out and don't have strong armor and weapons. The danger comes from accidentally activating the mob spawners, which will spawn 6 mobs at a time to attack you. I actually activated them all at once just to see how many mobs would come after me, but I can only do that because I'm in full netherite armor. If you don't have at least diamond armor, looting a trial chamber is gonna be pretty tough. Remember when we were looting the pillager outpost and I said we'd need the ominous bottle for the trial chamber? If you drink it while inside the structure, the mob spawners will turn blue and start spawning mobs with armor, making them harder to kill. But after defeating all 6 mobs from a spawner, you get a blue trial key, which unlocks treasure containing diamonds, emeralds, diamond armor, enchanted golden apples, lots of iron, and even diamond weapons. This is only if you use the ominous bottle. Regular treasure chambers just need a red key and won't give the best loot. On top of that, there are barrels and vases you can break that drop additional loot, usually iron, emeralds, and arrows. And don't forget, the only way to craft Minecraft's strongest weapon, the mace, is by collecting materials from these chambers. So because of the loot you can get here, and trust me, there is a lot of diamond drops here, the trial chamber deserves being in a good category. Now for the next underground structure, we are gonna need a lot of wool. And after killing a few generations of sheeps, I think this much would be enough for me to explore this next structure pretty safely. And of course, we are now going for the ancient city. I was quite lucky because the closest one spawned in a mountain just 1,000 blocks away from my base. So once you are here, you will find a lot of chests with good loot, but don't speed up and open them because you will trigger Skulk Shrieker, which can spawn a warden. Make sure you close these Shrieker blocks with wool before opening a near chest. And when you actually close them, this is when the ancient city becomes super easy to loot. Inside the chests, you will find a lot of enchanted books, regeneration potions, weapons, and enchanted armor leggings. Only leggings spawn here for some reason, so you are not gonna get fully stacked here. Also, one thing to mention, if you find armor with Swift Sneak upgrade, put them on because you will be just traveling faster and crouching, which makes it just far more easier to loot the whole place. Speaking of the best loot you can find, the enchanted golden apple would be probably the best thing you can find here, alongside with mending books or mending enchantments, because the chests don't spawn ores for some reason. But because it's so deep underground, you will be finding diamonds here super easily. Just make sure to build and cover everything with wool, or you will trigger a warden, which is gonna kill you in just 2 hits. So the ancient city goes into the good category because you can find a lot of enchanted stuff here, and because it's underground, you will find a lot of diamonds here. Now for the next structure, we are heading deep into the dark oak forests, because hidden somewhere between the giant trees is the Woodland Mansion. And trust me, this place has a ton of useful loot, but it is unfortunately packed full of angry residents who definitely do not want you there, so you will need good armor just to make it in. The main reason everyone wants the Woodland Mansion is of course for the Totems of Undying, which can save you in any situation. Inside, you will find evokers that spawn those little nightmare fairies and drop a totem after you kill them. The good news is that every evoker drops a Totem of Undying, and since each mansion has about 3 on average, that is a great haul. There are also many chests inside the mansion which can have some really good loot, such as diamond armor, enchanted books, regular diamonds, and even diamond weapons. Of course, you will not find these in every chest, since there is always a bit of luck involved. There are even secret rooms hidden behind walls containing anything from extra loot to strange decorations. I once found a room with lava and a full diamond block, which is equal to 9 diamonds. But these rooms are rare. The Woodland Mansion is not easy to raid, and it is usually thousands of blocks away from spawn. Mine, for example, was 26,000 blocks away, so you will need plenty of fireworks just to get there. But because you get Totems of Undying and a lot of high quality materials, I would put the Woodland Mansion in the good category. Now for the next structure, we're heading deep underground because hidden far below the surface is the Stronghold. But what we're really after here isn't the end portal, which we'll get into later, but the chests scattered along the corridors and inside the Stronghold library. The corridor chests can have up to 4 diamonds in one chest, emeralds, iron, iron armor, iron weapons, and even ender pearls, which are super useful because if you have any blaze rods left, you can make ender eyes. There are a lot of these chests, so it's definitely worth looting before going for the Ender Dragon. The library chests are also really valuable because you can find enchanted books. Look at this one. I just found Power 4. That's basically the best bow you can get right now. Overall, the Stronghold is great, and since you'll need to find it eventually anyway, it's worth fully looting for extra ender pearls and gear. So the Stronghold goes straight into the good category. Now for the next structure, we're heading into the snowy biomes, because hidden out here in the middle of ice and snow are the igloos. At first glance, they seem pretty useless, and honestly, most of them are, because not every igloo even has a basement. But if you're lucky, inside the basement you can find a golden apple and 2 villagers, which is actually great if one of them is a librarian because you can get a mending book. Other than that, the igloo doesn't really have anything useful, and most of the time, you're just gonna use it to sleep through the night. So this structure goes into the bad category for having almost no valuable loot. And here we are with the last, and honestly the best Minecraft structure to loot. I want to say a big thank you for staying until the end of the video. For this final one, we're heading all the way to the end because hidden on the outer islands are the end cities. And trust me, these places are worth the trip, especially if you're after some of the best loot in the entire game. I took 3 shulker boxes with me, and let's see what I can find in just 1 hour of looting. The main reason everyone comes here is of course the elytra. It lets you fly and makes traveling across the world about 10 times easier. You will always find it inside the end ship, along with 2 chests that can contain diamonds, gold, enchanted diamond armor, enchanted diamond weapons, and even instant health potions. Now, the end cities are dangerous because shulkers spawn everywhere and shoot you while you explore. But if you are careful, have good armor, and can hit those levitation projectiles back at them, the whole place becomes pretty manageable. And unlike other structures where loot depends on luck, the ship always has guaranteed treasure, so you never leave empty-handed. After just 15 minutes, I had already filled my shulker boxes with 4 elytras, piles of diamonds, and loads of enchanted gear. But I didn't stop there. I spent another 50 minutes searching, and now I can finally show you the insane haul I got. But first, let's head back, because I don't like staying in the end for too long. Alright, back in the overworld, are you ready? Because here's the loot you can easily get from end cities in just 1 hour. 9 elytras, 4 full sets of diamond armor, tons of diamonds and emeralds, enchanted diamond weapons, and more. Even my third chest, which wasn't full, still looked incredible. Honestly, this much loot in such a short time is just insane, and that's exactly why End Cities go straight into the best category. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if I could ask you one thing, please subscribe. This is actually my first ever video on this channel, and your support will help me get it monetized so I can keep making more high quality content. A new video is coming soon, so stay safe, and I'll see you next time.